I'm just a guy having fun at the range. Let's go shoot something. Alright, today we're out at the rifle range. I don't know that we filmed out here yet, but we're going to be doing a rifle video out at the Los Alamos Sportsman's Club rifle range. They have a 300-yard rifle range with gongs out at 300 and 200, a spinner at 100, and then I've set up a handful of targets at 20 yards, 50 yards, and 100 yards, and we're going to take some shots. Today we're shooting Russian rifles. Now I don't have all the Russian rifles, I just have two. This is a Russian Mosin Nagant, made in 1929, so fairly old. It had not been fired when I got it a few years ago. I have since ruined that by putting several hundred rounds through it. Pretty much stock, other than I replaced the steel butt plate with a nice rubber one. That gives me a little bit less of a bruise. The Mosin Nagant, for those of you guys who are not familiar, shoots a 7.62 by 54R, which is either rimmed or Russian. Can't seem to figure that one out. But a 7.62 by 54 cartridge, which is very similar to a 308 or a 30-06, same 30 caliber bullet, though the bore is a little different. So if you get into reloading 7.62 by 54, you need to make sure that you get the proper diameter. It's not just a standard 30 caliber bullet like you'd use for 7.62 by 51, 308, 30-06, etc. This is an old design, made in the 1800s. Okay. Made in Russia, bolt gun, but a very good design, and it's seen service for quite a long while. So very accurate and very cheap. Because they made so many of these, they were surplus guns for a long time. I picked this one up for just over $200. And it is deadly accurate out to 300 yards and beyond. I just can't shoot that well beyond 300 with it. Iron sights, of course, no optic. There's some aftermarket kits that you can mount optics, but because the bolt is a straight up and down bolt, it doesn't have that 70-degree cant that most of the modern sporting bolt action rifles have. It's harder to mount a scope on this particular rifle. Let's take a couple of shots at 20 yards, not a terrible feat with this really nice rifle, and just see where they're landing on target. Don't know what it is. These steel case rounds have been giving me a little bit of trouble today. Get that one in. There we go. There, that was a good shot. Not too bad. So a nice tight group at 20 yards, that's to be expected. Let's go ahead and move out to 50 and see what I can do out at 50 yards. Now, get the gun loaded back up. Come on, stripper clip. There it goes. Yep, this round just doesn't want to leave it. There it is. Okay, so for those of you guys who have always been wondering what the difference between a magazine and a clip is, and somebody probably told you, but you've never actually seen it. A magazine holds cartridges as a follower and a spring, and it actually moves those cartridges up into the breech area so they can be chambered as needed. A clip is simply a piece of metal that holds cartridges together so that you can put them into a magazine, or in very rare cases, there's actually a couple of clips that stay in the firearm, but that is extremely rare. So typically we think of clips as coming out of the firearm before firing, where magazines stay in the gun while firing. These are mechanical devices. They actually have motion to them. This is just a chunk of metal. Clip, magazine. All right. Now you know the difference. Don't get it wrong. People make fun of you if you get it wrong. All right, let's move out to 50 yards. All right, out at 50 yards, I'm going to put 2 shots on the paper, and then I'm going to see if I can hit those 8-inch steel plates at 50 yards. With a rifle like this, I'd better be able to, but it seems like a little bit of an off day for me, so we'll see. 2 on paper first, and then on the steel. That's what I love about Russian rifles. If it's not working, just hit it harder. Alrighty, so we put 2 on paper, I hope. And maybe you saw those, maybe you didn't. All right, let's see if we can get some steel targets here. So 8-inch steel targets. That nicked it. Nicked it just barely. Let's aim a little low. There it is. Okay, so it was hitting a little higher. Throw one more shot down there. Oh, I've got one in the magazine still. Okay. Alrighty. There it should be right there. There we go. And I put too much torque on the target stand and knocked it over. Alrighty, it's out to 100 then. Let's go ahead, load this guy up a little bit more. So I've got a 12 by 18 inch, I think that's all my ammo, bummer. 12 by 18 inch silhouette out there at 100 yards, and should be able to hit that no problem with this guy. There it is. Oh, let me move you guys over so you can actually see those hits. Okay. All right, let's see. 100 yards. Oh, I think I was high. There it is. Nice, that one nailed it. Oh goodness. Alrighty, and I'm out. And that is all the 7.62 by 54 Russian ammunition that I could find. So there you go. Ammo Crisis is even getting the Russian rounds. Let me just make sure there's nothing left in that box. Nope, it is empty. Empty. Well, that was fun. I do really enjoy the Mosin Nagant. This is the longer version, the rifle, as opposed to the carbine. The carbine is really, it's shorter, and it kicks a lot more. You have a lot more heft with this nice long rifle. Handles that recoil a lot better. So I really like this guy. So next up is a SKS. Now I said Russian rifles. This is a Chinese knockoff of a Russian rifle, hence the nice synthetic stock. The SKS was designed, however, in Russia. It was a Russian rifle originally, but this one is definitely a Chinese knockoff of the SKS. Functions the same, works the same way. I think that the standard SKS has an internal magazine, kind of like the Mosin. This one with the aftermarket stock, no, I think I might be wrong on that. They have internal magazines. They're not really designed to be magazine fed though. You can remove the magazine, but most people just throw a stripper clip into the bolt here and run those into the magazine rather than removing that. Again, optics on this platform, a little bit difficult because you don't have anywhere to mount them right over here. This is your dust cover for the action. So not a very good place to mount optics. You can mill and cantilever and stuff like that, but we're running iron sights on this guy. Let's just go ahead and take a couple of shots at 100 yards with this guy. Again, iron sights, so he's not particularly accurate, but he is semi-automatic as opposed to being a bolt action. So let's see if we can make that 100-yard target sing a little bit. I missed that last one. I got too excited. So again, 7.62 by 39 rather than 7.62 by 54. So this is the same round that the AK-47 shoots. It's a shorter, less powerful cartridge than the 7.62 by 54. Still a very potent cartridge. Obviously, AK-47s are, battle rifles or light rifles. They do their job. So at 100 yards, even with these iron sights, I'm able to hit a man-sized target. What was that, 8 out of 10 times? Pretty well. Let's see. I'm going to move back to the 20-yard, see what the accuracy on this guy is at 20 yards, which I'd expect it to have a pretty nice tight group. And maybe we'll shoot it at 50 at the paper rather than the steel, since the steel is kind of dilapidated. We get loaded back up, arrange the cameras, and then we'll shoot 20 and 50 yards. Alrighty, so I'm going to be shooting at 20 yards first. Come on, pick up that round. There we go. Check. Alright, we're good. Okay, shooting at 20 yards first, and then we'll shoot out at 50. I'm going to use the head box since we've got those shots from the Mosin down on the body. So let's see what we can do at the head. So not too bad. I walked around a little bit there, but certainly not too bad at 20 yards. Alright, so it looks like my body is actually pretty clear. There's just that one hit. I thought I shot twice at that with the Mosin, but there's only one hit on the body. So let's go ahead and put a few more. 50 yards with the SKS. Oh, I pulled that one a little bit. Where did that one go? Yeah, I think that one hit him in the shoulder. And we're empty. Okay. That's a pretty wide group at 50 yards. Some of that's me, some of that's the fact that it's a cheap Chinese knockoff. But again, hitting a guy at 50 yards is not too bad at all. So, okay. Yeah, so the SKS, again, it's a soft shooting platform. It's a very comfortable one, a little bit more recoil than an AR-15, but really not too bad with that 7.62 by 39. You don't feel like you're shooting something huge. Very comfortable to shoot. The spring system of that semi-automatic works pretty well. I'll comment real quick. So the difference between like a 7.62 by 39 and the 223. Yes, there's a power difference. Yes, there's a 30 caliber versus a 22. But one of the big differences between both the American cartridges and the Russian cartridges, which I think is kind of fascinating. American cartridges, the 223 and the 308 or the 7.62 by 51, are straight wall cartridges. The Russian cartridges are all tapered, and they've got a pretty heavy taper on the wall of the case. And I never thought much of that until I realized that if you get a grain of sand in a straight wall cartridge chamber, that cartridge has no pressure relief as it's coming out of that chamber. You're going to be pushing against that grain of sand the entire way. But a tapered cartridge like this one and the 7.62 by 54, and throwing all those casings on the ground, has an even more aggressive taper. You can just pull that cartridge back a quarter of an inch, and that grain of sand is no longer going to have the pressure of the case because it's wedging and unwedging. So I thought that was kind of cool. Little tidbit about Russian ammunition versus American ammunition. Anyway, those were my Russian rifles, just having a little bit of fun. Let's do one more thing. I'm just going to put 5 rounds on that 100-yard target from a standing position. It's kind of boring to be shooting from the bench all the time. Let's go ahead and engage some 12 by 18 inch steel, 100 yards, and just see if we can hit it twice in a row each time. There we go. too bad. Oh, and I pulled that last one off to the right. So, anyway, not too bad with a Russian SKS. A little bit more fun shooting standing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you in the next one.